New York City, a morning in spring, and one of the city's more than 500,000 mothers with 2 of the city's 1.5 million children is on her way to a well baby clinic. With her children, she brings their problems, which are also her problems. Because the mother provides the atmosphere within which children grow, and whether that atmosphere is bad or good is meaningful in their healthy development. How she handles the problems of growth depends on many things, on all the tides that wash around a family, on how she herself was brought up. Every mother's task is the same, but every mother is different and approaches her task individually. How is she to handle the problems of feeding, thumb-sucking, jealousy, interfering relatives, new problems constantly cropping up? How is she to learn to distribute her affection as it is needed? How to handle a dozen things in the complex job of being a mother. Most mothers at some time need some help. They look to their doctor for it. They take their children and their problems to the clinic. This is the Kips Bay Health Center on East 69th Street. Here, 10 years ago, there began something new for well baby clinics, the Attitude Study Project. This mother and her children get the same things other clinics offer: periodic health examinations, immunization, answers to questions on child rearing. But she and the other mothers get something more as well, for the Attitude Study Project has expanded the usual clinic procedure to include the child's emotional life. Here, the knowledge gathered by motivational psychiatry is put to work in pediatric practice, where it belongs, where problems begin that unchecked can cripple lives. Unseen by the mothers behind a one-way mirror, doctors and nurses from the Child Health Service come here to observe and to learn how, in the limited time available in medical practice, the mother's aid can be enlisted in improving the emotional climate which is basic to healthy growth.
Hi.
Good morning, Doctor.
Hello, Doctor.
Good morning.
I'm late.
This is the first case. Nothing unusual. Child is fine.
Into the routine medical examination are injected time-tested questions and techniques of observation, all aimed at the assessment of the emotional lives of mother and child, and how these factors are influencing the child's development. The focus becomes the mother, her feelings, her observations, and her expression of them. Since this is a demonstration clinic, the consulting psychiatrist, Dr. David Levy, takes over most of the questioning from the pediatrician trainee. Once the techniques are learned, his role is finished, and the techniques become merged with pediatrics.
Does that worry you at all, the thumb sucking?
Well, it's the first baby I've had that sucked his thumb. But I have more things to worry about than a thumb.
Tell me,
Good boy.
how much relief do you get? You're able to get out of the house.
Well, I don't get out. I don't get out much at all.
Have you thought of getting more help? Is there any possibility through your friends or through even making more friends?
Everyone I know, they have their own children. My uncle came up to see me the other day. He came in for half an hour, and he says, "I don't know how you can stand it." And he went out. And even my sister, she said, every time when my sister minds the children, she gets sick when she's finished minding them. One time she got virus pneumonia, another time she got a sore throat. She seems to get run down every time she's minding them.
You mean this is from the strain of taking care of all these
She
children?
said it's terrible. As soon as I come in the door, she says, "Oh, thank God," and she runs out.
She wonders how you can do it.
Yeah.
But how do you do it?
No, you know, sometimes I'll be all right, and other times I think I'm going to be needing a psychiatrist pretty soon. I can be so nice to them when they get up in the morning, but when they start kicking each other under the table, you know, something like that, I feel like killing them.
You'll have to control yourself quite a lot.
And then sometimes I lose control.
And then?
Look out.
I thought you said there wasn't anything unusual here. Well, the baby looked good to me.
You know, they'll do all these little things like spilling their milk and fighting, and I'll say, no, don't spill your milk. Don't throw pits across the table. I mean, you know, you give them walnuts and they're throwing shells. And I said, that isn't nice. If I step on them, they're going to hurt my feet. But then when I step on them, I scream, look out. It's like when they're playing with their marbles. I don't mind it, but when I step on those...
That's when you feel like murder.
Over the years, the Attitude Study Project has developed a set of easily learned questions that almost never fail to produce the desired response. A doctor can take them and use them in his practice, broadening the interest of his work and his effectiveness with his patients. The unseen audience of doctors and nurse trainees learn from project instructors how to integrate them into their own practices.
Now, the interviewing questions that we use are objective. We hope they're non-threatening, and we hope that they will give us information about the mother. The two best openers that we found over the years are, do you get any help in the care of the children, and how do you manage?
It's wonderful to come to a place where you can really talk.
Mothers have feelings and they need to express them. They have opinions and they do express them.
Well, who are you going to talk to if you don't talk to your doctor?
Allison here is a thumbsucker, and we're worried and concerned about it. And we want our doctor to give us advice and tell us what to do and be interested in the problem.
Well, just telling you not to worry doesn't solve anything. I think the doctors just don't want to get involved.
But the doctors don't have time to go into the emotional problems of the mother.
I think a doctor should find time. After all, a mother's feelings has a great deal to do with a child's feelings.
Well, the doctor examines the baby all right, but they forget entirely about the mother. You know what I mean? They just feel that the mother isn't important.
Well, maybe if the doctor got a little close with the mother, maybe things would be different.
Sometimes the founder of the Attitude Study Project addresses the trainees directly.
In this demonstration clinic, you see the methods that are employed to integrate the problems of the emotional life of the mother and the child, the attitudes, into the routine practice of pediatrics. The methods are mostly familiar to you. Of most interest, however, will be those ways that we employ in order to bring out the way the mother feels in a situation, how to intensify this feeling, how to elaborate it, and in that process you will see the unfolding of an interesting personality.
The clues to the approach to a mother are easily found, the techniques easily learned.
Now, the next mother we're going to see is 26 years old, and she has 2 children. Charles is 7, and she went back to work when he was 3 months old. She says he loves the new baby very much. Now, Meredith, the one that we're going to see today, she's 3 months old, and this time the mother doesn't plan to go back to work. She plans to stay home and be a housewife. On this one...
Tell me, there's how many years gap is there between these two?
7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
The project teaches things to watch for, such as a long interval between children. Also, tested questions to ask.
Another observation that takes no additional time is to note how the mother guards the baby on the examination table. Does she do it spontaneously, or do you have to tell her? Does she sit down away from the table, or does she keep a hand on it?
I notice your baby is cooing. When did the baby start that?
This baby is lucky. Its mother has lavished time and affection on it. So the baby in its early smiling and cooing has developed real social response, the beginning of all learning. The trainees learn to watch for these clues.
Tell me, has the baby started to smile?
Oh, yeah. She has been for several weeks now.
Several weeks now she's been smiling. Was that a real smile? Did she smile at you? Knew that she was looking at you and smiling? All right, let's see if we can...
Now, maybe she can make the baby smile, though this may be a bad time. Can you let her, please?
Hey,
Oh, no.
Meredith. Hey, hi, honey. Hi. What's the matter, huh? What's the matter? Oh,
Why?
That's a good coo, right?
Oh. Hey. Hey. Hey, Meredith. Oh, why? Why? What's the matter?
The attitude study techniques are built on existing skills of pediatricians. They have broadened the base of activities of physicians and nurses, and in turn, the amount of help given to parents.
Tell me, Miss Marconi, there was 7 years between the two children.
Yes.
Now, was that by design?
No, well, actually, the first one's from a previous marriage.
I see. Well, how long did you have to wait for this baby?
I was married 7 months when I became pregnant with her.
Well, no great delay. This baby wasn't a surprise.
Well, sort of.
It came at a bad time.
No, not really. It's just that we didn't think it would happen that soon. Not at a bad time, I guess, you know. Yes. And then I actually started looking forward to it, and when I started buying maternity dresses, and, you know, and it became very exciting.
This preparation is interesting, that there has to be a real preparation, a readiness for it. First you have doubts, and this was a bad time, and so forth, and then there's a certain point in which you yield to the reality, you accept it. Bob, when was that?
See. I think actually when I started feeling life was when,
yes, that's
yes.
that can make the real acceptance.
Right.
Can't die that.
I'm going to give your baby some injections now. She's already had one 3-in-1, diphtheria, whooping cough, and tetanus, and she's had 1 polio. We'll give her another one of each now. There may be some little reaction to the baby. Do you think she's going to remember this? That she had an injection?
But,
you don't think so?
No.
Doesn't cry with the wife.
The baby's indignation is always the same. The reaction of mothers very different. And it discloses a good deal about the mother's ability to comfort her child.
That's all today. Baby is doing very well, has gained nicely, and is feeding well. You're doing a good job.
I congratulate you.
Thank you.
There is a great deal of difference in the level of maternal feeding in women. Some have a great deal, some have very little. How you give advice will be geared to your appraisal of the maternal level of a particular woman. If she has always loved playing with dolls, if she's always been a baby carriage peeker, and if she wanted a lot of children, these are 3 quick questions that will give you a quick appraisal as to whether or not you're dealing with a highly maternal woman or one who isn't.
You'll have a cute baby.
Thank you.
And how old were you when you stopped playing with dolls?
Oh. Well, my mother brought me a doll for Christmas this year.
Tell me, are you a baby? Were you always a baby carriage peeker?
Yes, well, I think everybody is, aren't they?
No, they're not. But you are.
Oh.
She can't conceive of it any other way.
There's no finger-sucking problem here yet.
No.
I wonder, do you have a notion of how much sucking she does for each bottle?
Oh, she drinks the bottle very fast.
How long does it take before she's through with the bottle? Have you ever timed it?
No, never really.
Look for the next time when you time it, see, because when a woman says a short time, and we time it comes to be more than 5 to 7 minutes, you see, because we can't prevent the finger sucking if she gets enough sucking at the bottle. And this is the easiest time to prevent it, so. And if we can stop it without without inhibiting her in any way. By just seeing she gets enough satisfaction at the bottle, it's worth doing. Because I already see some tendencies here.
The attitude study techniques make every consulting room a research laboratory, providing out of observation and out of listening to the mother's experience, real learning which can be applied to the solution of many common clinic problems, like thumb sucking.
That cries a little louder.
Dirty trick.
The excerpts of the remaining demonstration cases will omit the health examination to better show that health includes the whole child developing and growing in its whole environment.
Wait, just before you go. You felt that. You got that. I saw the painful expression. It was a dirty trick. It was a very useful one, though. You know that.
It's like the old family doctor approach, except we know a lot more about behavior than the old-time family doctor, and we can reduce it to techniques.
When the older child's domain is invaded by the new baby, jealousy is inevitable. Sibling rivalry is more of a problem than most doctors realize. Some mothers work out ingenious ways to reduce it.
Oh, how pretty.
Did she understand what we were saying? Do you think?
Yes.
Do you remember the very first time she saw the baby?
When I brought her in, my husband carried her in, and I brought her in a little bunny, Tara, pink and white bunny. And then she didn't notice her right away. And then we put her down on the bed, and that's when the first time she says to me, "That's my baby," and I says, "Yes, that's your baby."
Now, that was the first day you came home from the hospital.
First morning on a Saturday.
Had she seen the baby in the hospital?
No.
First time she ever saw the baby.
Mm.
Is it safe to leave these two in the same room together?
Well, I just found that out. My husband told me. I went to the stores.
You were just out. You didn't really try it. It just happened.
It just happened. My husband went in the living room, and she was in the toys are in the children, her room. And she was playing, and then she walked out, as I say, and said to my husband, go to sleep. So I figured, well, she must be up for something, so he'd pretended she was. He was. Then she went back, and sure enough, she slapped her right in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real observation there.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask about propping. Have you propped any of the bottles, or do you feed all by hand?
I prop them, except the 2 o'clock bottle I feed her.
You feed her the 2 o'clock bottle by hand?
Yeah, because I figure I might go to sleep and may not hear her if she's choking or something. So I hold her in my arms at 1 or 2 o'clock when I feed her that bottle.
Now, how did you decide about propping? Do you know? And,
well,
when did you begin to prop?
Very young. She was about 6 weeks, I guess. And she started, Patricia got very angry over something, and she fell, and she was screaming and everything. So I laid her down and in the middle of the feeding, and then she was screaming. So between the two, I didn't know which to do. So the next feeding, I figured, well, I'll just prop her up here, and I can watch her and see how she does, and she did.
What is the advantage of propping over feeding by hand?
Well, I don't think she notices the baby as much when I'm not holding her.
Oh, this was to overcome the jealousy.
Tantrum. I thought she was going into a tantrum. I don't know whether she fell or what it was, but I know she was having a screeching, kicking her legs and everything in the living room.
You thought it possibly it was due to the fact that you were feeding the baby.
That's what I think.
Textbooks to the contrary, many of the most maternal mothers prop the bottle, and for good reasons. There is the opportunity, despite the shortage of time, to learn from each mother and to help each mother when she needs it. By letting her individuality unfold, letting her become a person, the doctor's job means more to both of them, mother and doctor, and the child benefits.
Now we make the jump to your mother-in-law.
Well, she was very dominating. Not that she meant to be, but she is a dominating personality. And I realize now that I'm the type who will, I guess I'll knuckle under, or I'll do what I can to please. And when the first baby was born, we lived with her. Well, through the pregnancy, it was, don't look in the mirror, don't raise your arms. And, that just superstition. That's what it was fighting. Inside I'd think, oh, how can she feel that way? And yet I wouldn't, I felt badly because I didn't believe what she said. And I couldn't go along with all these superstitions, yet I didn't say anything to tell her that she was wrong, if I'm making myself clear. I mean, there's that conflict within me, that knowing that what she says is wrong, these superstitions. And,
Yes, I understand you couldn't talk up to her. You, you couldn't assert yourself. And in the whole process, you felt pretty miserable.
I've never said anything to her. And so, with the rearing of the children, we're so very different. Feeding, everything there is.
You made the decision then you wouldn't live with her.
Up until about a month ago, I said that I'd do anything rather than to have the two families live together. Well, I feel a little stronger.
You feel you're strong enough to make a decision like that and to carry it out?
I'm not... See, I used to go over
You can stand up for yourself?
I can.
Otherwise you'll have to... Well, that'd be a terrific fight on your hands.
But you're going to have a situation here where this grandmother's going to be constantly hurt.
But otherwise, the mother loses the baby. And the grandmother has to give in the end if the mother holds out. And I think she'd have more respect for her daughter.
But is this medicine?
Well, it is health.
The grandmother is not by any means always the villain of the piece as she is so often cast. In fact, attitude study research has found that in most cases she is indispensable. Some mothers need help. They cannot go it altogether alone, and help is not easily come by.
We have no relatives here. My mother lives in Tennessee, and she has been a very great help to us, but, I mean, how much help can you be that far away? Yeah. She's taken the children when there was a crisis going on, but she's been working. And when she could retire, maybe we could get her to come live with us, and that would relieve things.
Yes. Well, you'll have hopes in the future, there are.
Yeah, certainly.
When will she be 65?
This summer. And
well, that'll be very helpful.
Except for this.
It'll give you much greater freedom.
If she'll come. That's the thing.
Oh, well, she must.
Does she visit you much now?
Every chance she gets. She gets along with her husband very well. Oh, he's just crazy about her.
What are your weaknesses as a mother?
I mean, this business of having sole charge of a child all day long, 7 days a week, is, well, I'm just not made for it. I need some relief now and then, which I don't get.
What about your friends? We've been talking as though your family and just the rest of the world as though there were no neighbors.
See, one thing about, lots of people have said, well, why don't you work out some arrangement to exchange child care? And I can't stand to do it. I just can't stand to take care of other people's children.
The attitude study approach recognizes that mothers are different and doesn't judge them, but learns from them. How does it feel to have twins at 17 and a third child at 19? Most teenage mothers would not take it well.
Well, tell me, what is the reaction to twins? The immediate reaction, not the later one.
Well, I felt very happy in the beginning about it, and I was overjoyed. In fact, I got into a cab, and I was yelling out the cab window that I was having twins. And the cab driver remarked, he says, well, be sure when you tell your husband that you have a nice stiff drink in front of him, so when he passes out, you'll be able to revive him.
The wisdom from the taxi driver.
When I came home with the baby, I was awfully afraid. I said, gee, I says, can you imagine the two of them running around, driving me crazy, and then I'll have the little one trying to feed him, and could you imagine when he goes to sleep, they'll be getting up, and I don't know what I'll do. But I don't know if it was God or who it was, but from the minute he was home, he slept 8 hours every night. And then all of a sudden, Debbie took a great interest in the baby. Like, she'd see me sitting with the baby. Because I was sitting with the baby, she'd do something bad. Because she wanted to see if I would watch, you know, if I was paying attention to her or just to the baby. So when she did it, I'd put the baby down and go over and watch her and try to make her see that I was paying attention to her just as well as the baby. And when she got over that, she seemed to like the baby, and she'd come over and she'd kiss him. And then she got where she wanted to hold the baby's bottle. So I held the baby and let her hold the bottle. And that took care of both of them. And then there was Sonny, of course, and he felt awful let out. He'd sit on the front, he'd look. So I'd pick him up and let him sit next to me, and he'd pet the baby. And it seemed the whole bunch of us were sitting together, and then I wouldn't have to be wondering if they were in the living room or the bedroom. They were just happy to be able to be next to the baby and watch what the baby was doing.
Well, I have a... First, there's a feeling of satisfaction in this whole little menage, you know, and how you manage things and watch the play go on.
Yeah, because...
that seems like real gratification.
It's like the togetherness that we hear about.
When things get just too much for you, as they do for everybody at
well,
times.
then
What do you do?
In the beginning, when I had them, they didn't sleep much, and I was awake most of the night with them. And that's the only problem I had. And I'd wake up, and next thing I'd just try to fall asleep, and just as I'd be getting up, one of them would wake up crying, and got to the point where I just felt like I was going to blow up into pieces, and I started crying, and my husband come and he'd say, well, you might as well let it all out. So I'd sit and cry for about an hour. After it was over, I felt better.
Tell me, it's between crying and yelling in the movie, which is the most...
The satisfying is when you do sit down and cry again.
Crying.
It seems to empty
Yes,
out.
women should use that more. We get that all the time, that the crying is the best release.
It seems to empty and take everything out.
And more quickly.
Relax, yes.
Is that the time when you wonder why you ever had children or ever got married, or...
Well, sometimes I say that. I sit down and I say, oh, my goodness, why did I get myself into this? Children and marriage and cooking and cleaning and everything else.
Got into it all right.
Then I turn around and I say, well, they are a comfort to me. At least they're mine, and I know that nobody's going to take them away from me, and I have the pleasure of watching them grow up and doing the things they're doing. And believe me, some of the things they do astound you when they get to this age, especially.
These are the real compensations.
By deft questioning, this mother revealed in only a few minutes the many problems she has and the way she solves them.
It's your turn to be the examining physician.
But if it works for you, I might give it a try myself.
You just watch.
Well, hello.
All yours.
Thank you. I understand you have 2 children and you live in a 4-floor walk-up. Tell me, how do you manage?
Oh, we manage pretty well.
Do you ever get any help?
No, we don't get any help, but we manage anyway. We seem to do all right.
Do you ever get times, though, when things seem to be too much for you?
Oh, yes, sometimes tempers flare up, but it calms down and we're friends all over again.
He's going to do it all in the first couple of minutes.
In essence, the Attitude Study Project teaches the pediatrician and nurse trainee to focus on the individual differences in mothers. Throughout the many well baby clinics in the city, doctors and nurses apply, without the presence of a psychiatrist, the techniques they learned in this demonstration clinic to help the mother with her many problems in child rearing. In this way, mothers come to feel understood, accepted, and appreciated.